Do you wish you could turn back the clock on aging? Anti-Factor Lipids is the breakthrough supplement that's scientifically proven to repair and renew your body's cells. Anti-Factor Lipids are identical to the phospholipids found in your cellular membranes. They've been shown to repair mitochondrial damage, a primary cause of biological aging. Anti-Factor has also been shown to reduce fatigue by more than 40%. And it's even been shown to significantly reduce a wide range of symptoms and improve the quality of life in patients with various conditions like chronic fatigue and those undergoing chemotherapy. I've been using Anti-Factor for years. I don't go a day without it. Anti-Factor Lipids comes in an easy-to-use powder in 2 convenient sizes. For more information and to order, just call 800-982-9158, 800-982-9158, or go to ntfactor.com. That's ntfactor.com for Anti-Factor Lipids powder. Welcome back to today's Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ronald Hoffman. Our guest is Dr. Carolyn Dean, author of the best-selling book, The Magnesium Miracle. First out in the 90s, she was very prescient about the important role that magnesium plays in our health, and then she updated the book in 2017. There's a new edition. She now has written a book about sugar, exposing sugar toxicity, clinical perspective, and really ahead of the curve in terms of that, because Maha is now fingering sugar as the arch nemesis of Americans and undermining health. So, Carolyn, there's all these different forms of magnesium out there, and not a month goes by that I don't get a question from a listener, what's the best form of magnesium? And my answer is, without knowing about your ionized, or what is it, ion stabilized form of magnesium, is, right. I say, well, there's different strokes for different folks. There's magnesium glycinate, there's magnesium taurate, maybe that's better for the heart. There's magnesium citrate if you want to go to the bathroom, because it mostly works like a laxative, right? It runs right through you. So let's talk about some of these forms, commercial forms of magnesium.
Right. Magnesium is so big now that you can take the most laxative form of magnesium, which, as you know, is magnesium oxide.
The cheapest form, by the way.
Yeah, and it will help you. And what I learned many years ago was there was an entrepreneur, a woman who owned a magnesium oxide company. She was so smart. She gave free samples to all the mineral researchers, and they did their studies on magnesium oxide. And when you look at studies that, magnesium oxide, that's what doctors prescribed. And then they got the laxative effect, and doctors would say, oh, you must be saturated. You don't need anything else. And then there's
the bowel tolerance idea is right. That if you're going to the bathroom, it means your body is has enough. But it's not. That's not true, because it just may be running out of your rear end and not getting into your cells.
Yeah, absolutely. So that happened to me when, with my heart palpitations and everything, I was writing the book on magnesium. I'm the poster child. Let me get some more magnesium. I couldn't take anything by mouth without getting the laxative effect. So 10 years after publishing The Magnesium Miracle, I searched for a mineral company that would make a non-laxative, and they wouldn't. Finally, I found a chemist who made the stabilized ion of magnesium from magnesium chloride. And what I realized, over the years, it's common sense, actually. The cells want the ion of magnesium. They can't take a compound. And a compound has to break down in the blood. It's called dissociation.
Dissociate.
It has to dissociate into its 2 components, magnesium and chloride. Magnesium is so hyperactive, it'll bind right back up to anything that's close.
It wants to join.
So, that ion is only available for a fraction of a second. Now, if there's a trillion magnesium molecules of a compound, you're going to get some absorption into the cells, no question. But the binding part to the magnesium, it may help you in this and that. But if you are running a severe magnesium deficiency with symptoms from head to toe, what are they? Twitching eyes, headaches, neck tension, heart palpitations, even GI upsets. You can have your diaphragm is in spasms, so you have breathing problem, leg cramps. You have symptoms from head to toe. You want magnesium ions. You don't want that, the glycinate part or the taurine part. Yes, they can be helpful. And if you break down size-wise, say magnesium threonate, I have a big problem
and that's the issue. Let's talk about that, because the claims for magnesium threonate, I've looked at some of the studies. The studies are suggestive that it may be something which better crosses the blood-brain barrier, which is a barrier to passage of larger molecules, right? So the idea is, let's get the magnesium in the brain where, there's a lot of hyperexcitation in the brain. If you have anxiety, or if you have, migraines, this would be good to get a lot of magnesium into the brain.
Right. So the magnesium threonate study that started it all and was heavily marketed, it was out of China, and they did a rat study.
Right.
And they gave the magnesium L-threonate and compared it to several other magnesiums. And the conclusion was, when they did a cerebral spinal fluid test.
You don't want to get that routinely, right?
No. They saw that the threonate was
spinal tap,
7 to 15% more magnesium in the cerebral spinal fluid compared to the other magnesium. 7 to 15%, 12% is margin of error.
Yeah.
So on that tiny little bit of, benefit comparatively, they did several $1 million marketing.
Yeah, but they have skin in the game because they manufacture it and then they export it to the West, right?
And then they patented it and they tripled the cost.
Uh-oh.
What is threonate? And in the beginning, I thought, it's threonine. It's a brain thing and brain amino acid. Threonate is a breakdown product of vitamin C.
Oh.
And vitamin C actually helps the brain barrier open up to the magnesium. So they chose
it's got a little bit like ester C with the with magnesium tagged on it or something.
And then the really inflammatory part for me about that study was that on the labeling of the magnesium L-threonate, they'll say 2,000 milligrams magnesium L-threonate.
Well, we have to talk elemental magnesium, right? Let's talk about that.
Turn the label around.
Yeah, right.
Turn it around.
Yeah.
And it's not 2,000 milligrams of magnesium by any stretch.
Of course.
3 capsules will give you 144 milligrams
of elemental magnesium.
Magnesium.
Because if you, a little chemistry here, the magnesium is a very light atom, and the threonate is a very heavy molecule. So the more you chelate, and these things are supposedly chelators, they're delivery systems for the magnesium. But the more you put a glycine or a taurine or a threonine on the magnesium, the heavier it is not for virtue of the magnesium. So you're going to need a bigger pill. You're going to need to take more, right?
Absolutely. I mean, with me needing I needed 1,200 milligrams of my stabilized magnesium ion to get rid of my heart palpitations. I would have been taking 3 bottles a day of that stuff and getting the laxative effect.
Yeah.
So it did bother me a lot because, as I said at the outset of this compound talk, even magnesium oxide helps. Yeah. It will even help brain symptoms. That some of those magnesium ions disassociate and get into the brain.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about threonate, and it's a vitamin C, and that has a lot to do with sugar. I don't know if you're ready to go into sugar.
Sure, why not? Let's do a segue into sugar.
Yeah.
Well, because your latest book, which is Exposing Sugar Toxicity Clinical Perspective, obviously that's very au courant because we're now recognizing that the big culprit is not saturated fat, it's not cholesterol, it's refined carbohydrates and especially sugar. And we
Yeah.
in America, we consume massive amounts of sugar.
Hmm. Well, my story with sugar started with me being on a Canadian television show. I'm a Canadian. I have
I
dual
noticed
citizenship.
because you say oat, out and about.
So I was on the Deanie Petty show back in the early 90s, and it was a Christmas show, and they wanted me to do sugar because I said I was writing a book on sugar. I hadn't finished it. And in front of a television audience of school children, because it was a Christmas break, I spooned out, wow, there's 10 teaspoons of sugar in a can of Coke, and there's 20 teaspoons in a milkshake. And the kids were all horrified and they played it up. And then my licensing board came after me for saying bad things about sugar.
Oh my goodness.
A Canadian lobby group complained about me, and
Wow.
I get a letter of admonishment, but that opened the doorway for them to send in plants to try to discredit me. But
Wow.
that's a story. At the same time, the research was showing, and I was writing about this, that sugar was causing heart disease. So what did the sugar industry do? They put the blame on cholesterol.
Hmm.
They found some European studies, and I write about it, that showed that if you gave rabbits, what is it, laboratory grade
Lard or something. Yeah,
cholesterol.
right. Or
Yes,
actually, they
something
didn't even
that,
give them lard. They actually gave them like a kind of a Crisco compound,
yeah,
which we know is really
that,
harmful. I think this is like this guy named Anichkow was the guy who did it. So, by the way, last time I checked, rabbits don't eat lard and they don't eat Crisco, but you
right.
can give rabbits don't die of heart attacks generally, but you could give a rabbit a heart attack by feeding them Crisco.
Yeah.
Okay, is it applicable to humans? Yeah, with Crisco it is, but not necessarily beef tallow or bacon grease.
Right. So they fudged everything. They
Yeah,
turned the world upside down, and how many millions of people would have benefited if they knew that sugar was causing their heart disease? What did we do? We went to egg whites and stopped eating the incredibly nutritious egg yolks. We went to margarine.
margarine.
I remember that white margarine with the little orange button that you had to blend into the
Right,
white
because the
margarine.
butter industry at first resisted. They made the margarine people not color the margarine, which looks horrible. It looks like, well, yeah, it's like very tallowy color, and you had to add a coloring to it to make it look more like butter. But then after a while, they just said they gave up. They said, make the margarine look just like butter.
Yeah. So the book I was writing back then, after, the medical board came after me, I just said, oh, forget it. And just this past year, my team said, hey, let's revive your book. So it became a trilogy, including a sugar-free kitchen book, actually. So my big takeaway with the vitamin C and sugar information is that sugar and vitamin C travel on the transport protein called insulin.
Good.
So if you've got a lot of sugar in your system, 10 teaspoons from a Coke, whereas at any one time in your bloodstream, there's only 1 teaspoon of sugar. Any more than that, the body has, oh, get the insulin out, get rid of this stuff. It's toxic if it's not in the cells. If you've got a lot of sugar, it'll displace your vitamin C.
Okay.
And you need that vitamin C in the cells for the antioxidant ability around the waste products of the Krebs cycle. So you've got a really dangerous system now where humans, we don't make our own vitamin C. when Eve ate the apple, God said, okay, you can have your apples, but we're taking away your enzymes that make vitamin C.
Right. Very good. Very good. I
Because
see where
all
I see where you're going with this, because this is interesting, because, they talk about scurvy, an ancient disease. I'm reading about Captain Cook, who discovered the Sandwich Islands where you live now, Maui. And the sailors had scurvy then, because they didn't know about vitamin C, but eventually they figured out give limes to the sailors, and then they called them limeys, whatever. But they said scurvy is gone. We now have adequate vitamin C in our diets. But where we now see actual cases of scurvy is in hospitalized patients with diabetes. And they are the ones who are most vulnerable to it because they got sky-high blood sugar. So that makes sense that the sugar is displacing the vitamin C and making them more vulnerable to scurvy. And they have modern-day scurvy.
Yeah. And they have bruises all up and down their arms. That's a scurvy sign. And what's
bleeding
going
gums, periodontal disease. Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's going on is the amount of vitamin C. The RDA is 90 milligrams, 90 milligrams.
Ridiculous.
Animals of our size are making like 10 grams a day. And under stress, they make more
if they're sick, if they have an infection, they synthesize more. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did on my podcast, in the COVID years, I did an interview with a half dozen vitamin C doctors, using intravenous vitamin C.
Yep.
And it's fascinating what vitamin C does. Linus Pauling said 10 grams of vitamin C. And they relegated him to treating colds and flus with vitamin C. He was working on heart disease.
He's working on cancer.
Yeah, and cancer, right. He found that in intravenous vitamin C, and I think you can take high dose oral vitamin C if you spread it out through the day, put some baking soda in it, and that along with lysine will actually get rid of the atherosclerotic plaque. And then proline is what's working on LP little a now. Mm-hmm. They've proven all this. LP little a is now, it's not LDL that's a problem. It's LP little a. We got to get after that. No drugs for it. They're in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be multi-zillion dollar drugs too, because now nobody knew from LP little a until the drugs came along. Now we're very obsessed with LPA.
We'll talk about it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to motivate people about is taking this extra vitamin C, and it's ascorbic acid. That's fine. I also work with a whole food vitamin C for the bioflavonoids and all the little extra things that
cofactors.
From the fruit. But ascorbic acid itself is what's working. You cannot get 10 grams of whole food vitamin C. I used to be whole food vitamin C, what did they call people who just have one point
fanatic,
of view? Yeah. But no, we need the ascorbic acid because we used to get it, before the Garden of Eden. But I should say animals our size get it, and they do not get heart disease. We don't get enough vitamin C, and we get all this heart disease. And since the whatever the epidemic was, we've got more heart disease now, and we really have to get after it.
Indeed. Okay, folks, at this point, let's pause and allow one of our sponsors an opportunity to share an important message with you. So here goes. Listen up.
Kids don't just bring home homework, they bring home germs. And those germs don't just stay with them, they spread to the whole household. That's why Xlear nasal spray was created by a practicing physician to give parents and grandparents peace of mind. You may not think about it, but your nose is filtering out a semi-truck full of air every single day. Xlear isn't just another spray. It creates an additional layer of protection in your nose that blocks bacteria and viruses before they can even take hold. Yes, even that virus. Supporting your body's defenses right where germs first try to enter. Xlear is a hygiene product recommended for daily use, drug-free, Non-drowsy and safe for all ages. Just a quick spray in the morning and evening helps you cleanse your nose. Don't just hope for protection, create it. Get Clear Nasal Spray, your daily defense. Clear Nasal Spray is available at retailers nationwide and online. Check out xlear.com for our special offers. That's xlear.com.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for supporting our sponsors. They are what make Intelligent Medicine a continuing free resource to you. And now back to today's guest, Dr. Carolyn Dean, author of The Magnesium Miracle. I wanted to ask you just, in terms of your background, you are an MD and also an ND. Are you a nut for punishment to go for 2 medical degrees? And why did you go for both the conventional medical training and then you went on to get the alternative medical training, or was it the other way around?
No, it was when I went to med school, I was already an older student. I was 24.
Me too. I spent some time working, and then I went back to medical school. So I was considered like, an elder, at 24. Yeah.
Right. And I'd already traveled with my then boyfriend, now husband of 57 years, and from Halifax, Nova Scotia to Los Angeles. And instead of getting involved with ridiculous drug culture, I attended all the natural medicine lectures, Linus Pauling and Paavo Arola. And
how about Bill Dufty, who was on the Hollywood scene in the 70s and wrote Sugar Blues, which was one of the original books, right?
Awesome. I quote it. So anyway, I had all this in my head, and I considered myself kind of a natural sort of health consultant. I'd tell people, oh, do this, do that. They wouldn't listen to me. And I just happened to, I guess when I did my my high school and then my first years of university, I had enough credits to apply for med school. Actually, a couple guys in my biology class in university, they said, hey, did you get accepted? And I said, what do you mean? I feel pretty accepted. And they said, no, we just got into med school. We thought you were in pre-med. And I said, you little jerks are going to be doctors. They just gone, straight. They were probably 19 or so.
Right.
So
yeah.
Anyway, I said, that is crazy. I marched down to the dean of medicine's office. Thankfully, my college had a med school. And I walk in, and Ron, I will tell you, who's the assistant dean of medicine? My former guidance teacher in high school.
Whoa.
Who had told me I should be an executive secretary or a nurse.
Uh-oh.
Right? I said, Miss Elliott, you got some splaining to do. So I don't know if she helped me or not, but I got in the next semester with my grades and everything. So I barely got in though, because the third year medical students did an interview with prospective new students, and they called me a Pollyanna.
Oh.
They heard me say that I thought I could help people because I'd already been, had that focus.
So when I went for my medical school interview, I actually I tested it out on somebody who was already a doctor. And they said, hey, ixnay on the nutrition, ixnay on the vitamins, ixnay on the herbs. Don't talk about that, because you'll never just play it straight and say, I love science and I want to help people. Therefore, I want to be, that standard shtick that you do to get into medical school. So I was kind of perhaps like you, a stealth medical student, because I was already into these natural things. But I had to kind of keep it down on the down low a little bit to get in and to not, get ostracized by my colleagues.
Well, here's what I did. Second day med school, first year,
Hmm.
but he comes up, clinician, to tell us what's going to happen to us in the next 4 years. So he throws up his PowerPoint, from the back of the lecture theater. It had a slant to it, and the second slide was a nude female.
Uh,
The third slide was a nude female, and
this,
so that was his way of getting the boys,
right.
because
It's the boys'
um,
club. Yeah.
yeah, of 100 students, it used to be only about 20, 25
Now it's
women.
the majority. The
Yeah,
majority of physicians in training are women. But,
yeah.
you know,
So on day 4, I had gone to someone who I in the audiovisual department of the med school. I took in a Playgirl magazine and got nude male slides, put them up in his carousel. So he was separated from it. It was perfect. The first slide was a nude male. The second slide was a nude male. The guy grabbed his briefcase. We never saw him again. Overnight, they took down every nude female picture that apparently littered the labs and all the research departments. So, it's
it
like
was a way.
that.
It was simply a way to engage the attention of bored, tired, exhausted male medical students. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So that's that's what I did
So
in
then
med
you did a
school.
naturopathic education as well. So you got your ND degree. That was
Yeah,
after medical school because you wanted to round out your knowledge base because they teach nothing about nutrition. They teach nothing about natural medicine. So you had
yeah,
to put that into your educational
yeah,
portfolio.
yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. I just fell in with a group of chiropractors who were doing their naturopathic training. It was a post grad, but I did it for long enough to get my degree, and it has served me well because at heart I'm a naturopath. But even today, this is what I say to young people. Say, well, you got both. What do you think? I really feel sorry for young people going into medicine now because they have to memorize drugs,
Yeah.
and you can't even memorize them. So now they have guidelines for
Yes.
every disease. Now they give you a recipe book, and it's just so disheartening.
Yeah, it's
So,
almost like a turnkey operation. You can use AI to diagnose, and you can
yeah,
use, and then it prompts you like which statin would you like to use? Which is here are your various drug choices.
yeah, yeah,
It's all kind of packaged, and
yeah,
it's hard to deviate from the guidelines. It was actually easier to practice innovative medicine at the time we started because it wasn't
yeah.
quite as, shall we say, standardized.
Yes, yes, it's there are definitely two camps. So what I tell young people, and I've become associated with a online naturopathic college called knowyourwellness.org.
Hmm.
And I have a few modules there. And I tell people for like $3,000 or $4,000, you can get an online naturopathic accredited degree, and you can set yourself up as a health consultant and just use my formulas, study my books, and how I approach. My approach, Ron, is people have magnesium deficiency as well as other mineral deficiencies. You need 9 minerals to make thyroid hormones. You have to have them in a stabilized form. So there's this group of people who need minerals for the building blocks for everything. The other part of what I kind of recommend is looking at yeast overgrowth.
Hmm.
We've got the microbiome conversation now that just won't quit, but they all talk about SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. It really originates with fungal overgrowth, SIFO.
Hmm.
And that's because when we take any amount of antibiotics, we kill off good and bad bacteria and leave a vacuum into which yeast will grow. Yeast is a natural part of our large intestine. And when it grows into the small intestine, it pokes holes, it causes all kinds of problems. There's dozens of yeast toxins that then get misdiagnosed as this and that. So I find if I get people's immune system boosted up with their minerals, they start detoxifying. And then I work with a silver product and a Saccharomyces boulardii and humic fulvic, and I'm working with their yeast. I tried for 10 years to treat my yeast overgrowth, from the birth control pill, mercury fillings, stress, sugar addiction. And you cannot starve away yeast. You have to do something antifungal to balance it. You can't get rid of it all, but you can balance it so that you can eat, pretty much a normal diet.
And that is a great lead into, I think, perhaps one of our next podcasts. In a week or so, we're going to do a podcast on the subject of the yeast connection and how important that is. Again, many decades after, you and I got on board with it in the 1970s and 1980s, when it was really kind of taboo to talk about yeast problems in normal people. Yes, yeast problems occurred in people with AIDS, people who had severely compromised immune systems due to cancer chemotherapy. But now we recognize that ordinary folks may be afflicted with not just SIBO, bacterial overgrowth, but fungal overgrowth. And that's still part of the picture. So I think it's important to recognize. So, okay, I wanted to ask you one more thing, because you alluded earlier, and this surprises me, because you can buy these magnesium lotions and creams. You could sit in Epsom salt baths. I was wondering, is it possible for these magnesium ions to traverse through the skin into the circulatory system, and you could actually get higher levels of magnesium in your body with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if there's bench research on it, but I know stories of people who lie in a bath.
It feels good. It feels very relaxing and soothing. Yeah.
With a couple cups of Epsom salts, magnesium sulfate. And then they tell me they wake up and have to go to the bathroom with a laxative effect. So it is being absorbed. Magnesium is very highly absorbed. We can tell customers who, although we're not allowed to talk about medical things, but if you have an ache or pain or palpitation, you can put our liquid magnesium on the skin and it has an effect. Mm-hmm. So the body is just so desperate for magnesium. It'll pull it in. So but look, I have to tell you about yeast. In 1986, I was on a 90-minute TV show up in Ontario, Canada, and Dr. William Crook of the Yeast Connection was on with me. It was a telephone call-in show. We talked about yeast overgrowth and all the rest of it. And he's a wonderful man.
Yeah,
passed
he's a
away
great guy.
now. Mm-hmm. And we had 86,000 calls into that show. People were desperate for information. So,
that was sort of the heyday, along with Dr. Orion Truss and Dr. Crook. They kind of heralded a revolution in our way of looking at illness by talking about the yeast connection. So important stuff. Okay, great. So the books are, I recommend this very highly as a primer on magnesium, The Magnesium Miracle, by today's guest, Dr. Carolyn Dean, and the new book, Exposing Sugar Toxicity, A Clinical Perspective. That's available how? You've got a website.
Yeah, Amazon has all my books. The website's drcarolyndean.com for educational podcasts, books, blogs. The store site is rnareset.com. And actually, Ron, we have a pet formula site too.
Whoa.
picopets.com.
Do pets need magnesium?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, they're getting all the shots. They get drugs. They get medicines. They're fed dry kibble instead of raw food. Yeah. They need their minerals.
Just I know that it's important to supplement, but in terms of diet, what are the foods that are richest in magnesium? I imagine it's plant foods, because it's like just as with humans, hemoglobin in the center is iron. In plants, chlorophyll in the center is magnesium. So, eat green stuff and you're going to get some magnesium, but what else?
You'll get some nuts and seeds, grains. But see, what what happened with the keto diet and certainly the carnivore diet,
Mm-hmm.
people aren't eating anything that has magnesium in it.
Yeah, because meat
And
doesn't have much magnesium. Right?
well, they try to tell you, oh, if you eat organ meats, but people don't eat their organ meats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the keto diet, you have people say, oh, I got the keto flu or the keto this. It's usually from mineral deficiencies.
Yeah.
So, I like keto. I'll do intermittent fasting, kind of keto, but it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to stay with it. You have to have your minerals if you go keto or carnivore.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good stuff. Well, thank you very much for visiting with us, Dr. Carolyn Dean. It's been too long, 20-some years since we last talked. So let's not make it another 20 years before our next conversation. Or maybe we should, because if we set a date, that could be, our anti-aging
there you go.
program.
Yeah, my team wants us to go with longevity medicine because you look so good and I look and feel pretty good. So
You look great. Fantastic.
Thank you. We have to be examples for our patients and customers. If the gastroenterologist who was my clinical director in my internship, way overweight, eating his chips and drinking a soda, I said to him, Dr. Newman, does food affect the gut? He said, no. And that was it.
Well, would a plumber ever tell you, if he comes to clean out your clogged pipes, that it doesn't matter what you throw down the toilet? Probably not.
Perfect.
They have more sense than gastroenterologists. So there you go. Good stuff. Dr. Carolyn Dean, pleasure to reunite with you, and check out the website, check out the books, and consider trying this, really efficacious form of magnesium, which is dissociated ionic magnesium, which really gets into the cells. Good stuff. Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and aloha.
Aloha. All the best. Take care. I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman, coming to you from frigid New York, where the temperature tonight will go down into the single digits as you bask in balmy temperatures. I'm signing off for today. Thanks for joining us. The Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I want to thank you for listening to the Intelligent Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast app, and get new episodes automatically downloaded every weekday. And please give us a rating and review. It truly helps new people discover intelligent medicine. The Intelligent Medicine Podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Finally, please visit drhoffman.com and discover everything Intelligent Medicine has to offer, including frequently updated, unbiased health news and fully vetted product and supplement recommendations. You're listening to Intelligent Medicine, a resource to help you take control of your health. We offer a balanced, objective analysis of all your health, wellness, and aging options, both conventional and alternative. Now you can take your engagement to the next level by joining FullScript. FullScript is my online dispensing platform that only offers curated, professional-grade supplement brands that I know and trust. Never counterfeit or expired, always stored and shipped correctly. Just go to drhoffmanstore.com for more information and to start your free FullScript account. Buying through FullScript offers fast, free shipping, optional refill reminders, a mobile-friendly site. It's safe, secure, and HIPAA compliant and offers world-class support. Just go to drhoffmanstore.com. You'll get access to the supplements and features you need to help you achieve your wellness goals, including my custom targeted protocols that combine the products I recommend to address specific needs, heart health, immune support, and much more. It's all at drhoffmanstore.com. drhoffmanstore.com.